There's a whole lot more growing in these Appalachian hills than most folks realize. Along these old fence rows, creek banks, logging roads, and mountain ridges, you can find wild fruit that's fed families in this region for generations. Some of these fruits were, and still are, gathered for cobblers, jams, jellies, preserves, syrups, wine, and winter storage. Others were simply picked and eaten right where they grew. Summertime meant children coming home with purple fingers, scratched up arms, and an empty bucket by the time they got home. Today on Appalachia's Edible Wild, we are looking at 10 of the best fruits you can forage across Appalachia. Now this ain't a complete list, and what grows near you will depend on your elevation, soil, climate, and what part of Appalachia you call home. But these are 10 of some of the most useful, recognizable, and deeply connected to Appalachian food traditions. Before we get started, remember that wild food is not safe just because it grows in nature. Never eat a wild fruit based on its color. You need to identify the whole plant, including the leaves, stems, bark, growth pattern, seeds, habitat, and season. Some poisonous plants produce berries that look tempting, so remember, when in doubt, leave it out. We're starting with the blackberry because it's one of the easiest fruits for the beginner to recognize. It grows almost everywhere in Appalachia. You can find blackberry canes along roadsides, woodland edges, fence rows, old fields, power line clearings, logging roads, and just about anywhere the ground has been disturbed and the sunlight can reach it. The berries begin green, turn red, and finally ripen to a deep purple black. A ripe blackberry should come off the plant easily. If you have to pull and fight with it, it probably needs a little bit more time. Blackberries can be eaten fresh, but they're also used in cobblers, jam, jelly, syrups, dumplings, pies, juice, and wine. The biggest challenge is usually beating the birds, deers, bears, or your neighbors to them. The pawpaw is one of the true treasures of the Appalachian woods. It's the largest edible fruit native to the United States, and it grows on small understory trees, often in patches along creek bottoms, river valleys, shaded slopes, and rich, moist forest. A ripe pawpaw has a soft green or yellowing skin and may give slightly when you press on it. The fresh inside is creamy and custard-like, with a flavor most people compare to a banana, mango, pineapple, and vanilla. Pawpaws are good eaten fresh, but they can be used in puddings, bread, ice cream, smoothies, custards, and baked goods. Do not eat the skin or seeds. The seeds are large, dark, and easy to remove. Pawpaws also bruise quickly and don't keep very long, which is one of the reasons you rarely see them in grocery stores. This is one of them fruits that's best eaten close to where it grows. The American persimmon is another important Appalachian fruit, but it teaches a hard lesson to anybody who bites into one too early. An unripe persimmon is so astringent that it can make your whole mouth feel dry, tight, and puckered. Persimmon trees grow along old fields, forest edges, fence rows, creek sides, roadsides, and abandoned home places. The fruits turn orange in the fall, but the color alone does not mean they are ready. A ripe persimmon should be very soft, almost like a little bag of jelly. Some people wait until after a frost, but the key is full ripeness, not just cold weather. Ripe persimmons are sweet, rich, and excellent for breads, puddings, cookies, jams, fruit leather, or just dried. The pulp can be frozen and used throughout the winter. Mulberries are our next entry. They're often found on old farms, barns, roadsides, creek bottoms, Appalachian towns, and abandoned properties. Birds eat the berries and spread the seeds, so mulberry trees can show up almost anywhere. Depending on the species of tree, ripe mulberries may be red, dark purple, black, or sometimes pale in color. The fruit somewhat looks like an elongated blackberry, but it grows on a tree rather than a thorny cane. Mulberries are sweet, juicy, and usually abundant. They can be eaten fresh or used for pies, jams, jellies, syrups, juice, wine, and fruit leather. Put a sheet or a tarp beneath a ripe tree, shake the branches, and you'll gather a pile of berries in no time. Just expect a few stained hands, clothes, and possibly stained shoes. Personally, my recommendation of what I use mulberry for is homemade wine. If you'd like the recipe, just give me a holler. Wild raspberries grow along woodland openings, trails, cutovers, sunny slopes, fence rows, and disturbed ground. Appalachia has both red raspberries and black raspberries, often called blackcaps. One of the easiest ways to tell a raspberry from a blackberry is by looking at the fruit after it's picked. A ripe raspberry pulls away from its center and comes off hollow. A blackberry keeps its solid inner core. Wild raspberries are usually smaller than store-bought varieties, but they often have a stronger flavor. They are good fresh, frozen, or dried, and can be used any way you use a regular raspberry. The service berry, also called a Juneberry in many places, is one of Appalachia's less known wild fruits. It grows on shrubs or small trees and produces small fruits that turn red, purple, or blue-black as they ripen. Service berries can be found along forest edges, rocky slopes, open woods, mountain ridges, roadsides, and stream banks. Depending on location and elevation, they often ripen in late spring or early summer. The fruit tastes somewhat like a blueberry with a mild almond or cherry-like flavor from the small seeds. Service berries can be eaten fresh or used in muffins, pancakes, pies, jams and jellies, syrups, or dried. Birds love them, so once they begin ripening, you may not have much time to get them. Next is the wild blueberries and huckleberries. These are especially common in acidic mountain soils. You may find them on ridges, open slopes, old burns, forest clearings, and woodland edges. These plants are often low-growing shrubs, although size varies by species. The berries may be blue, dark purple, or nearly black. Wild blueberries usually have a small crown at the blossom end, but you should still identify the entire shrub before harvesting. These berries are smaller than most cultivated blueberries, and the flavor can be much stronger. These berries are useful the same way that regular blueberries are. Wild grapes are found throughout Appalachia, while muscadines are especially important in the southern part of the region. They grow on strong woody vines along sunny forest edges, creek bottoms, fence rows, thickets, and old home places. Muscadines usually provide individual round fruits or loose clusters rather than tight bunches seen on store-bought grapes. They have thick skins, large seeds, and a bold, sweet, tart flavor. Wild grapes can vary greatly in size and taste. These fruits are commonly used for juices, jellies, syrups, preserves, and wine. Identification is extremely important because poisonous plants such as moonseed can be confused with wild grapes. Look at the vine, leaves, tendrils, fruit clusters, and seeds. Never depend on the fruit alone. Wild plums grow in thickets, old fields, woodland edges, roadsides, pastures, and abandoned farm areas. The trees or shrubs often form dense patches and may have thorny branches. The fruits can be yellow, orange, red, purple, or a mixture of colors. Some are sweet enough to eat fresh, while others are sharply tart. That tartness makes them especially useful for jams and jellies. Wild plums can vary one tree to another, so it's worth tasting fruit from several trees once you have positively identified them. One may be bitter and sour, while another growing nearby would be sweet and soft. Our last fruit is the elderberry. Grown on shrubs around wet areas, creek banks, ditches, woodland edges, old fields, and disturbed ground. The berries form a broad, flat, or slightly rounded cluster and ripen to a dark purple or nearly black. Elderberry is useful, but it requires more caution than most fruits on this list. The stems, leaves, and other green parts should not be eaten, and the berries need to be properly cooked and processed rather than eaten raw. Strip the berries carefully from the stems and sort them before use. Cooked elderberries can be made into jelly, syrup, juice, pie filling, sauce, and wine. Positive identification is crucial because other plants can produce clusters of dark berries. These 10 fruits are only the beginning. Appalachia also has wild cherries, choke cherries, crab apples, hawthorn fruits, maypops, wild strawberries, ground cherries, and several other fruits worth learning. But the fruits I mentioned today give a new forager a strong place to start. Learn these one plant at a time and watch it through the seasons. Learn what it looks like before it flowers, while it's fruiting, and after the leaves begin to fall. Harvest responsibly, leave plenty for the wildlife, and avoid polluted areas. These mountains have had people for generations, but they only provide for us when we slow down long enough to look what's growing around us. This has been Appalachia's Edible Wild, where we are learning the food, history, and old mountain knowledge growing right outside our doors. And always remember, when in doubt, leave it out.